Okay guys, so Buzzbee officially responds to Alex Spiro. The court documents have been released. We have to get into this because Buzzbee is not holding back. Hey guys, it's Murad Morali, daily and consistent content. Let's get straight into this quick intro. So of course, Alex Spiro said that, these are baseless accusations and that Busby is a bad lawyer, spoke about his track record, old lawsuits and etc. And then the STD lawsuit that just came out as well, which to me is intriguing because how would you be able to detect that you have an STD so quickly? That timeline doesn't make sense to me, but that's for the courts to work out, not me. But Buzzbee has officially responded in 2 to 3 long documents, and I definitely want to read this out to you guys because that is something that we have not done, and that was submitted today, earlier on. Dear Judge Torres, by letter motion on December 13, 2024, defendant Jay-Z notified the court of his intention to file a motion to strike and motion for sanctions immediately under Rules 11 and 12. As with defendant Carter's prior letters filed in this case, it is histrionic in tone, but substantively groundless. Defendant Carter threatens plaintiff with a Rule 11 motion based on questions raised by one single television interview concerning events occurring 24 years ago, when plaintiff was 13 years old. Defendant Carter also asked this court to alter the federal rule of civil procedure in his favor by abrogating the mandatory 21-day Rule 11 safe harbor period without any legal support or factual justification whatsoever. The former is frivolous and the latter is impermissible. Defendant Carter's threat of a Rule 11 motion is frivolous because it characterizes run-of-the-mill disputes of fact as proof that plaintiff's complaint is baseless. None of the factual issues Carter identifies are sufficient even to grant summary judgment in Carter's favor, much less support Rule 11 sanctions. The fact that a defendant or potential witness does not agree with or recollect the facts alleged in the complaint does not and cannot give rise to a motion for sanctions for filing a baseless complaint. Defendant Carter's threat of an immediate sanctions motion on the first whisper of factual uncertainty is just one more instance of bullying, intended to have a chilling effect on plaintiff's counsel, and my potential plaintiffs watching these proceedings. Don't know if that implies that there are more people coming for Jay-Z. A Rule 11 motion is frivolous on the additional ground that expecting a victim of SA over 2 decades ago, when that victim was a minor, and as her interview revealed, also autistic, to have perfect recall of all facts is completely outrageous. Defendant Carter twists plaintiff's words when he accuses her, for instance, of guessing at the time of events alleged in the complaint, such as the length of car rides. But New York courts have expressly acknowledged that plaintiff in this type of case cannot be expected to have exact recall and command of all relevant facts. We recognize that in matters of SA involving minors, as recounted by survivors years after the fact, dates and times are sometimes approximate and incapable of calendrical exactitude. Calendrical exactitude. What words? Come on, dictionary. Buzzbee's been in that library. There is no basis for a Rule 11 motion here, and if filed, such a motion would itself be subject to a Rule 11 motion in response. Here we go. Of course, we cannot prevent Defendant Carter from wasting the resources of this court and all parties in pursuing one. However, Defendant Carter's request that the court shorten the filing deadline for his threatened Rule 11 motion from 21 days to 1 day is entirely improper. Carter fails to cite any precedent whatsoever to support this astonishing request because there is none. Carter also fails to cite any reason why the federal rule of civil procedure should be abrogated in his favor in this particular case because there is none. The 21-day safe harbor under Rule 11 exists to provide parties and counsel time to assess the objections being made and to withdraw or modify a pleading or other paper if necessary. It cannot be shortened here because Mr. Carter and his counsel request as much, whether in an attempt to play gotcha or to exert additional pressure on plaintiff or for any other reason. From the outset, Defendant Carter and his counsel have shrilly maintained an entitlement to different rules and faster procedures, from expedited briefing on the issue of anonymity and a summary dismissal of plaintiff's complaint to now a wholesale elimination of the 21-day safe harbor under Rule 11. In each instance, the goal has been to blur the facts and rush a choice, but there is aggressive advocacy and then there is bad faith. Mr. Carter's latest tactics, much like his open threat to refer plaintiff's attorneys for disciplinary action, crosses that line. Moreover, outside of the courtroom, Mr. Carter has employed tactics of intimidation and harassment even more extreme, tortious, and quite possibly illegal. My firm recently filed a lawsuit in Harris County, Texas that details how Mr. Carter's company, Rock Nation, and his counsel have bribed my clients to file lawsuits against my firm, threatened former clients, impersonated state officials, and engaged in other behavior far beyond the pale of acceptable conduct. Their tactics won't work, and they will be addressed in more detail in connection with the party's briefing on plaintiff's anonymity. Like Mr. Combs, Mr. Carter is rich, famous, and powerful. Mr. Carter will exert all the pressure he can to intimidate and harass plaintiff, me, or anyone else. The chilling effect of those efforts is substantial and is a potential chilling effect of Rule 11 motion being brought in these circumstances. But ultimately, in our court system, the rules are the same for Mr. Carter and for the plaintiff here, and the Rule 11 safe harbour cannot be abrogated on his whim. Finally, Defendant Carter raises the status of my admission in the Southern District of New York, as with his previous letters in the court. His December 13 letter includes a substantial amount of defamatory suggestions about me, including that I am somehow attempting to circumvent the authority of this court to enforce Rule 11 against me. That is nonsense. I'm a member of the State Bar of New York and am admitted to the Eastern District of New York. I intend to apply for reciprocal admission to the Southern District. The fact that I have signed pleadings and letters filed in this court does not reflect any attempt by me to evade responsibility for anything. To the contrary, I have signed those pleadings and papers because I am lead counsel in this and other similar cases pending in this district. Respectfully, Anthony G. Busby. A very strong worded response to Jay-Z and Alex Spiro's accusation. Remember, I read out to you Alex Spiro's lawsuit, Jay-Z's Alex Spiro's lawsuit, where they constantly were referring to the NBC interview in all their paragraphs, and then outside of that, any other time Busby lost or was being unethical or was being basically a fraud, accusing, etc., or now this STD lawsuit, all of that was basically, it was a mixture of these two. That is what Busby is officially responding to. This came out earlier today, and it's very lengthy indeed. One thing about Judge Torres, that man is about to read so many documents, and he's about to be a very, very busy man. But this is a strongly worded document to say, I am not backing down. I am explaining to you why the Rule 11 motion can't be accepted here. Also, his 21 days to 1 day motion shouldn't be accepted here. Also, for the fact that Carter's been intimidating people around me and etc. And then a reflection of, no, I am part of the bar in New York. So, it's different points for each paragraph. Objectively, and I definitely remain objective in this instance, guys. I definitely try to be. I do feel like Busby's letter is more clearer. I feel like Spiro's letter was more angry. It was more constantly referring to the NBC lawsuit. And all Busby needed to do was have a 1 or 2 paragraph response in this letter. That's all it was, to that specific NBC lawsuit, and say, well, listen, she was a minor at that time. She's also autistic. Essay stories aren't always going to be absolutely accurate, and you can't use that to dismiss something. That was all he needed to say. Then he moved on. I do feel like the way Busby has written this is much more clearer than what Jay-Z, Rock Nation, and Alex Spiro are doing, because Alex Spiro seemed to be so more emotionally angry. And then on top of that, Rock Nation put up a statement that they deleted 5 times. Like, I don't understand what that was about either. I feel like Busby here is being a little bit more cleaner in the letter. I'm not saying that means Busby's going to win. There's still a very high chance, guys, that this lawsuit can be dismissed, because the judge might be reading all of this and just focus on the inconsistencies. It's very much plausible. I do feel like this lawsuit potentially is going to be dismissed. That's why that is the way I think that this is going. But really and truly, we can't have any predictions without the Judge Torres making a statement. Until Judge Torres has made a statement, we can't really sway any way to where we think that this is going to go, to be honest with you. But I think that Busby's written a very strong letter. It's very clear, very concise, different points for different paragraphs, and we move on. He's addressed 5 to 6 things all within this, where I feel like Spiro just constantly kept referring to the NBC lawsuit, NBC interview, and then was just playing dirty by referring to so many different bad lawsuits that Busby was controlling. And I'm just like, what is all of that? What does the historical context of Busby's lawsuits have anything to do with what your client's been accused of? It was just so random, so out of left wing. It just didn't make any sense. Is Judge Torres, is he ignoring Jay-Z and Alex Spiro? That's one thing that I wanted to speak about. And I don't think that he's ignoring them per se, but I just feel like he feels that whatever these emergency hearings and emergency motions that Alex Spiro is filing is not an emergency. Because if it was, there would have been a hearing by that 9 a.m. the next morning, and there wasn't. He's aware that this was filed. Evidently, he had to be. And he didn't grant it because he didn't think that whatever that they're filing as emergency should be approved for whatever reason. He clearly is taking his time. He's well acquainted, far more than any of us, which is why he's a judge. And therefore, he is just taking his time on this and doesn't feel like whatever's being granted as an emergency should be an emergency from what Alex Spiro has said. And him boldly making those claims and those claims not being approved, I feel like also says something as well. I don't think it holds bias from Judge Torres, but I think it just says something. So I don't know where you guys think this is going to go, because this is like the 4th or 5th day of rebuttals between Alex Spiro and Busby. It's just going back and forth. It's all being very dirty, and we're not focusing on the alleged victims, unfortunately, because this is what this is about. But it's a high public profile case, so of course it's going to be against the lawyers. But the alleged victim is not recanting her story against Jay-Z. She's not recanting that. There are inconsistencies in her memory and what is going on in the timeline and etc., but she's not recanting what she feels Jay-Z did to her. And that's just basically what's all being publicly reported. Wanted to give you guys another quick update. I felt like I touched on Buzzbee's response in some earlier video. At this point, I don't even know, because there's been so many responses, but I don't think I read this out to you guys clearly or concisely at all earlier today, and I should have done that, so I do apologize, but I definitely wanted to get it out to you guys thoroughly. But yeah, very clearly, it was clearly written, it was concise, it was spaced out, it was like 5 to 6 different points. Way more better, in my opinion, than what Alex Spiro was writing. Because why am I reading a response of Alex Spiro that's discussing Buzzbee's past of so many other lawsuits? I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with this? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't see Buzzbee talking about Alex Spiro's past, and going through all of what he may have done left, right, center. Like, I don't understand. I also just feel like the way Alex Spiro is behaving with the Eric Adams case, and for the fact that he's been told off multiple times, can also affect the way he's dealing with this case, because I feel like it's similar judges. It's, all happening in New York. The Southern District of New York is basically seeing both, and so I feel like something could potentially happen. Who knows? But at the end of the day, guys, Alex Spiro is getting bankrolled. His clients are absolutely insane. For the fact that he has Eric Adams and Jay-Z at the same time, that man is about to be one of the richest lawyers in America. Let me know your thoughts are, guys, when it comes to this. Do subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate. I'm filming this for you guys at 3:30 in the morning. I just wanted to get it out to you before I slept. Do subscribe to the channel. It's just one click. That's all you guys have to do. Click that notifications bell. Constant updates with everything going on, normally in less than 8 minutes or 10 minutes, but I've dragged the video on today. I do apologize, but definitely click that button and subscribe. Comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Send a super thanks at the $sign there. You can send whatever you want. It definitely goes a long way, and I definitely appreciate, and I see all of them. But yes, I will catch you guys soon for another video.